Guten Morgen zusammen. So, mein Name ist Tom. Mein Deutsch ist nur gut genug, mein Bier oder einen Schnitzel zu bestellen. Also ist es besser, wenn ich auf Englisch weitermache. It's going to be just easier from this point. So, welcome everyone. My name is Tom. And according to my job title, I'm the digital product area owner, which means basically a line manager slash product area owner. And we came together with my colleague on my right-hand side from Sweden to share our story. So we're working very close together with Mingdao.
Thank you. My name is Mingdao, originally from China, moved to Sweden like 10 years ago. So I'm sure like Tom's German is better than me, so because I know nothing, kind of. But so hopefully we can share some interesting journey for you about what we did in Volvo for the transformation. Yes, I'm working as the digital product manager for Backstage and Golden Parts in the Volvo group. Yeah.
So before we jump into it, I'd like to give kudos to Rolf and Christoph from BMW. They make an amazing presentation about their journey in the BMW when it comes to the DevSecOps transformation. So if you haven't watched it, I recommend watch it. It helped us to get buy-in for our DevOps transformation for the leadership. We got good support, those presentations. So hope today we can inspire others as well with our journey. So that's our plan. But let's jump into it. So basically our journey started before COVID, when our leaders realized that we need to move away from the manufacturing company. They're actually using these words like, if we end up as a manufacturing company, China will eat us for breakfast. So that was very harsh words, and then it hit to the bone. But they not just put strong words, they created a very ambitious target, which is basically more than our profit by 2030 should come from digital and revenue. And that's a big change if you look at the history of Volvo. We are traditionally a manufacturing company, but we need to move away. And they not just created a very ambitious target, they allocated like a huge budget, so we could able to cherry pick people from the company and outside of the company, buy tools here or there, and we start investing a lot. And yeah, so we can say that at least we like to believe that this is the greatest shift in the transformation history in Volvo, what we do right now. So let's see what we have done.
Yes, so the first thing we introduced is called the Golden Parts. If you haven't heard about that, that's basically, you can see the flow on the screen, that's the DevSecOps flow. It's basically how you build the software. And then we are such a big company, we have a couple of thousand developers. I mean, we are kind of start from manufacturing, so we don't have experimental software. So we have so many different tech stacks, everyone try to find the best way to build, this kind of nice stuff. But it's like, why is like it's so slow? Because everyone wants to do the same thing, and second, not consistent. And because of that, and also cause a lot of security and compliance gap. So that's why we introduced the Golden Parts concept when our organization is be founded. So we thought, okay, instead of everyone invent their own wheels, we provide one kind of setup. Everyone just follow it and get support from us. Okay, now we are good to go. So that's what we believe. That's our start point. And then, as you can imagine, like many different like traditional project management, it's not so successful. And when we get started, we thought, oh, Golden Parts is super good. It will solve everything. When we start executing, a lot of challenges is coming, it's not goes well. And after like a few months or half year, when we check the result, like the adoption rate is super low. No one basically wants to use it, a lot of resistance, and people still not happy. Of course, there's many reasons behind, but a few on top of the different people is like, one's about, because we define the Golden Parts. We pushing hard. It's more like command and control. We say, you must use it, but everyone have their own agenda, their business goals, everything. So people have tons of reasons why don't want to use it. And second, we have such a big company, it's really hard to find like one shoes fit for everyone. So that's not really working. And that's like maybe the top 2 reasons why we are failure at that time.
Yeah, so just imagine, we spend so much money, so much time, and then at the end of the day, the developers, they're not picking up our tools. and we were super confused. We realized we need to do something. We need to go to the bottom of it and understand what's the reason, why they don't do that. And we realized that we might need a superhero. We might need someone who can help us to do some magic. And yesterday we have seen in the presentation a lot of superheroes, but I mentioned China. So if you look at the Chinese history, who could be the best superhero when it comes to transformation? Of course, Bruce Lee. But don't get me wrong, he's my superhero, not Volvo's superhero. But when Bruce Lee talks about be water, my friend, he explains that if you put water in the cup, the water becomes the cup. And that's exactly what we needed to do when it comes to the adaptability. Yes, we did have a plan, but if the plan doesn't fit what the organization needs, we need to make a change. We needed to understand what the organization needs. So the adaptability was one of the key elements when it comes to transformation. But continuing the water analogy, the water can also flow. So when you pour a glass of water to rock, then the water flows using this universal law with the less resistant area. That's exactly what we needed to do. When we hit the wall with the transformation, we had to make a way to make a turn. We hit big walls in the transformation. So the flow was key for us to focusing where we can make the impact. And the third element that was also important, again, continuing with this analogy, so the consistency. So the transformation is something that cannot be done over the weekend. So it needs to be like iterative and incremental. Same with the water. So things need more time to change. And the last thing, what we find is handling the resistance. Same thing again. When water hits the wall, it does its own way to transform the obstacles. It's very gentle, it's smooth. We also needed to understand if there is a resistance, if the developer is pushing back, we needed to understand why they are pushing back. Maybe they don't have the knowledge. Maybe they don't have, this is not the right time. Maybe this is not what they want. So we really needed to go to the bottom of it, like enablement services and all sort of things. So, of course, we cannot hire Bruce Lee, but we had a new management who were focusing more on the customer-centric approach. So customer-centric approach was the game changer for us in our transformation. But what does it mean, customer-centric approach? But if you talk about customer-centric approach, the first question you might ask, okay, if this is customer-centric approach, who is our customer? For us, it was easy because our customers are our developers. We are talking about like thousands of IT people, hundreds of teams. And then first thing what you might ask, are they happy or are they not happy? If they are unhappy, why they are unhappy? And then the customer or developer happiness was the next key indicator that we were using. We wanted to make them happy. And when we drilled into this, we found that they are really not happy because the biggest pain for them is waiting to get access to the tools. They got, I see someone is smiling already. So we were not alone. That's good. I spot you. So yeah, that was super frustrating, especially if we have a very ambitious target that I mentioned at the beginning. So they were super frustrated. And then how to combine the freedom with the standards, that was the key problem that we have to focus on. If you look at the Volvo, it's a big regulated organization. We cannot have like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but at the same time, we needed to have some kind of regulations. So, and that led to another product that Mingdao is going to share.
Yes, good. So we still believe the golden parse is the right way to go, but we rebuilt it with the Backstage. So maybe a quick test. How many people heard about Backstage, or maybe you already use? Good. It's quite some. Good. Maybe, yeah. So the first thing we did is like to have the unified foundation. That's use the Backstage because people are resistant. But we want to have a go-to place. People can find everything they need, include tools, different capability, everything. As a developer, you need to make your daily work. That's basically the goal. And then we choose the Backstage, be the one. We start if for the people you haven't heard about that, we give you a very quick look at it. There's many different materials on the internet you can find by yourself. This is one way I kind of try to simplify it with a flow. So let's imagine we have a new developer or new developer teams getting the company. The first thing he needs is to get access for different tools, because then you can start to work. When you get the tools necessary, you start building some software. When you have your software, your daily job is to manage the software. So get access. It should not complex then, like go to our Backstage website, browser, choose the tools you need, and then get access. Should be as easy as like that. We'll have a demo later. And when we talk about build software, traditional way, like as a developer, you want to have some backend, front-end, database, but as a big enterprise, quite often you'll be stuck with like infrastructure, firewall, just open a firewall port will take a couple of days or weeks and so on. We don't like our developer waste time for that. So we use the software template concept in the Backstage. Basically, the template is a way to automate this kind of repeatable work. So, and also, if you remember, we talked about golden parse. So, you know, instead of forcing people to apply the golden parse manually, why not provide a pre-cooked kind of flow, include all the best practice with the golden parse for them? So we have this kind of template. We have a quite a popular one called Hackspace. Basically, create a new Hello World application, include everything above in like a few minutes. Then the user or developers are ready to go to build their great ideas for the business, for Volvo. And also the template itself is so flexible, so you can use it to build a full application, but you can also to build maybe a piece on the chain. For example, create a CI/CD pipeline. You can do many other things. So that's basically we call it like sky the limit. We want people to try more and find their own ways to automate their daily work. And then the last part, but not least, is about manager software. Of course, today you have so many different tools. You have different like dashboard and so on can use. But the Backstage is a one-stop shop. You can find all things together. Here's an overview. It's hard to read, but let's zoom in a little bit. So you can start with like an overview. Like this is one component from one of our team. Here you can find the source code, the documentation, who is owner of it, if you want to learn more. We also have a bunch of different links, fully customized by the teams themselves, used for things like security, monitoring, and so on and so on. And we are in big company, so it's quite often we have a lot of dependency in the company. And this is a simplified version. We have also a very complex solution, hierarchies, dependency, and so on and so on. But you have to go to one place, you can say, okay, what's dependency with my system brother team or maybe another organization in the company, and so on and so on, also from here. And so far it's only an overview, but we also have a tab on the top. We can cover different kind of tools on the whole DevSecOps chain and to get more information like what's the latest, the pipeline status, what's the latest, the PR, and so on and so on. So we take this as an entry point for developers to start their day. Yeah, so that's our story about to start with the Backstage. So that's the go-to place, make people easy to start their work and with the golden parse.
Yeah, so we are planning with sharing 3 examples. And the next example was basically the access provisioning, the biggest pain that we got from the developers. So, but how was it at the beginning? So basically, as you could see, the developer is very unhappy, very sad. But if you look at the process perspective, there is a central team. We're using ServiceNow. And there was a central team who manages everything, basically. And then even the process was super rigid. And if someone wanted to make a change in a form, sometimes we had to wait like 6 months. And it was a big pain. At the end, the developer was frustrated. They requested, they approved, and they needed to wait. And that was pure waste. So what we have done with the Backstage, basically, so you can see the guy is happy now, but he grew a beard. So that took some time, but he's really happy now. So right now, the access provisioning is either auto or automated. The developer goes to the portal, select what they want, and then click, and then the access is granted. If it's manual, you can easily pinpoint the person. Why is it pending? Because you can see who is the product owner, what actually needed. And you can customize the access in a very, very sophisticated way. The process goes to the owner. So they can basically change anything. They can update the process several times a day. And that's super flexible. Even if they go before the holiday, they can just click it to automated access provisioning. So that's a big change. But I will show you how it works in real life. So it's going to be a recorded video. So not sure if you see, but I'm going to voice over. On the top left corner, there is a search. And then developer clicks on it, type GitHub, find, choose, review, create. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and down, and that's it. And this is basically the process with some debug information, but that's what we have recorded real time. And it's like, you might think like, yeah, okay, it's easy, but for us, it was like a big, big, big change to improve the flow and the process.
Yeah. So as you see, the second example here is about quick win. Why we talk about that? Because if you remember, why we fail early, because people don't want to use it. So we start with like small but like mandatory things where solve everyone's pain. But what's the next? Because quite often people think Backstage, okay, that's a place for access provisioning, but that's not only for that. So we introduced the third concept, like instead of we build everything from central team, we want everyone to build together. So we call it build by the community for the community. So here's many more examples. I mean, we just show a piece of it. And here's many examples, some from like central team, some actually from the application team. So I just take a quick look at the last one. It's called something called MFSA CI/CD. So MFSA is like one product in Volvo, let's say. You can see in this practice, they have their own software template about CI/CD. It's because, I mentioned earlier, it's very hard to have one shoe fit for everyone. It's impossible to have one CI/CD, way for all the team. We encourage everyone to kind of reuse the command way, but they can have our flavors for their product. And this really make it fly. So look at the numbers today. 70% of all these templates are from this we call non-platform team. And just give you a background, for me and Tom, we have the central Backstage team around 9-10 people, quite small. Today we have 3,000 of users, and we target for maybe double it in a year or two. So that's the numbers we do, and we cannot do everything by ourselves. We have this kind of decentralized mode. We maintain the platform. We provide the guideline how to use it, how to contribute, and we welcome everyone to do. And this is also be a game changer because they are the one know the best for their pain point. They build it, then I don't need to convince them to use it. They will use it by themselves. And then let's look at the numbers.
Yes, exactly. So when we were talking about the failure, when the people were not interested in what we do, this is a very good metric that we like to see. That's the visit of the sites. You can see it's growing, growing, growing. And then the straight line, those are basically the vacation period. And that tells us they are happy, or at least they see the value of what we do. Yeah, but there is no presentation without mentioning AI. So we have a slide for the AI.
Yes, so far we talk about golden parts, we talk about Backstage, and we want Backstage to become the go-to place. But still the model is a more classic, was on the left side we call it today. So people go to Backstage, searching for what they are looking for, like the golden parts, the command way in our company, and then you apply them manually, right? That's how we do it today. But now AI evolving so quickly, I think that many speakers share their experience. So we have the similar journey here. So what we believe in tomorrow, instead of you searching something, you can go to AI and AI will solve the problem for you. So for example, they can still go to Backstage, but I say, okay, this is my repository. I want to create a CI/CD pipeline according to Volvo standard. And then instead of AI will return documentation, and they will do it for you. Because today, actually, our team provide documentation and code snippets, and with AI, basically, we apply these things in the customer repositories directly. And we already have a few kind of examples ongoing, and we get very good feedback. And we believe that's the future. That's where we'll go to the next step to even more improve the developer happiness.
Yes, our last slide is the wrap-up. So let's wrap up. Customer-centric mindset, it's super important. So we deal with tech, but there is always people on the other side. So we need to understand what they want. So it's still important, and don't underestimate the power of the enablement services. And we highly recommend taking to your map or scale if you already have the Golden Path and Backstage. The Backstage is an open source Spotify platform. You can have it for free. We bought the enterprise license, but you can get started basically free. And yeah, another thing that we recommend, just focus on the flow, try to find what really the people need, and last but not least, be water, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yes, Tom, Mingdao, thank you very much. Any questions?
So thank you for inspiring presentation. You mentioned you want to encourage users, you want to make them happy to use this platform. It sounds like there is still an alternative they can use, or is this the only alternative, for example, for getting access to GitHub?
Yeah, I can take that. So our target is become the go-to place in our company for everything for developer. And we are not there yet because there's still like Snow and others. But the good thing, because first, we don't want forcing people to use it because that will not success. We already proved that. And second, we want to say, okay, this will be better. So that's actually be very good because now, like last year, I'm promoting everywhere in our company. This year, I'm just sitting there, people knocking my door, say, okay, Mingdao, can we add this too? Can we add that too? Many teams come to say, Snow is too slow. We want to use Backstage. That's the best way to go. Yeah.
And just continue the story, basically. When I mentioned we hit the wall, that was basically, oh, we have Snow. Yeah, good. But we have something else. And then now it's like, oh, can we connect? So they see the benefit, and that's the best. Yes?
Hi, so I was wondering, since you're wearing DevSecOps t-shirts, and I was expecting this talk to go into the direction that you're creating these golden templates that are, that provide a secure setup.
Yeah.
But now you're saying 70% of the content is created by the community. So how do you focus on security with your golden path?
Yes, that's a very, very good question. So it's a balance between, because when we want security, that means about controlling. So we can still recommend people to build their own templates, but they kind of take a reference or take a fork from our central repository, like include this best practice. So that's the way to go. And also another thing we don't have time to mention, it's the sound check, it's a plugin from Spotify. That's basically a quality gate. You can define your rules like security scan, others, and using the recommended tools. So that's where we have a combination. So you can create your own template, but you still need to fulfill all these quality gates, make sure you're good. So that's kind of the way to go. Both make sure they follow all the quality standards, but also have this flexibility and make sure it's be fitting to like particular project or product in the company. Because if we be super good, super secure, but no one use, we are failure. But as you said, if they have the full freedom to whatever they want, that's also not full freedom. So we need to find a good a balance for that.
Just to clarify that I understood correctly, that's a policy that you can apply. Those quality gates, you apply it as a policy to all of the repositories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, maybe there's one.
So we also tried out Backstage some years ago, and we found it quite hard to adapt for our organization. So I'm not sure, maybe just our organization is set up weirdly, but what's your experience? Was it tricky, or you have to do a lot of adaptations or figure out where to hook into the Backstage interfaces?
Can I ask what's the main difficult impediments at that time to block you? Because it very much depends. Yeah, sorry.
So I think for us, for example, we already had some component catalog in the company. So we were not sure if we want to also offer that Spotify.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Then another thing we're using, we already have a templating system, but that's not, I think the copier uses Backstage uses cookie cutter, or it has its own templating system, and we are using copier. So we have some components already, so we are really not sure what's a good migration path Backstage.
Yeah. So I think first you need to have some kind of common understanding in the company, because you have different choice. You can always choose, such trade-off, but you have some common agreement. Okay, here's the place to go. Maybe not overnight, but in, let's say, 2 or 3 years. That's number one. And second is like, Again, it's not, as Tom said, it's more customer-centric. So we cannot forcing people to use it. We need to take it step by step and to really get buy-in from them to say, okay, this is good, create value, and then we're with you, and then we'll continue and continue. So at the beginning, to be honest, we'll also be slow. But then to have like a snowball, then be quicker and quicker. And I can also share at the beginning, when we start our work in our company, in our team, we already have another 2 Backstage instances in the company. And so that means people think Backstage actually solving their problem, but everyone has their own Backstage instance. And that's not good as like a big company, because we have one common ground. And I talk to these teams, they buy in the vision. Of course, they have a lot of questions. You should have this, have that. Yes, we can do it. But by time, they actually all close down their Backstage, moving to us. So that's like, it's a transformation. It's also be a mindset shift. So it will take time. It will not happen overnight.
Okay. What did you do different from their Backstage team?
Because first, we said we want as a big common like ground for the whole company. That's everyone wants. Yes. So I think that's number one. And long story short, I think customer-centric, that's always really important. So I always respect their needs, and we find a way together. And they say, okay, we can fulfill their needs, and they can reduce the maintenance cost, everything. Then they're with us. But we can talk more about this adoption. It's a big topic. Yes.
As you now have enabled the developers to being faster, do you have a feedback if the overall projects getting reduced by the time?
Not particularly feedback, but for instance, the onboarding process, that's something that we can easily measure. And that's because we know it's like, I can't remember, I think first when we started to look around, like how much time is needed to our developers until they start committing the first single line of code. And it was like 1 month until set up the ID, I think set up all the infrastructure and stuff like that. But now you can do it in 1 day, basically. So everyone comes to our company, and that's pure data. That helps for the buying, for instance, up there, where you can see, okay, this is what we have now, and this is how many people we are onboarding every year, and this is how much we can save. That's very easy to measure. The other things, it's hard to measure, but it's, yeah.
Yes. And there's so many things you can measure. I can give one example because I make a summary. End-to-end year, we need to do a lot of summarize, right? So one thing I did is like counting in last 3 months how many software templates is being executed. We have around like 9,000. And of course, it not be fully, accurate, but let's say if one template can save 1 hour for one developer, then it's 9,000 man hours. Then you can multiply with how many man hour cost, right? It's a lot of money. So people don't feel that because, it's so easy. But when you put all these things together, actually it's a big, saving. And also the developer gets things quicker. Yes. And also I can mention we use the Multimo, the open source software, to measure all the data. So we have actually all the metadata, how people use Backstage. So we can do a lot of calculation. We know, okay, what people use more, what they use less, and why they don't use it, and so on and so on. So data-driven decision also be important here.
Thank you very much, Tom. Mingdao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danke sehr.